Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. It's the Radical Cup North America. My name is Tom Drewer, and alongside me, Mike Anzaldi, a racer of the Radical Cup Series, certainly last year. Hopefully we'll see you back out there again, Mike. But at the moment, up in the commentary booth at sunny Sebring.
I love it. Really, it's my second happiest place to be at a racetrack, so I'll take it.
Well, Sebring there in the middle of Central Florida. It was an Air Force base. Now it is the home of the famous 12 Hours of Sebring. Some stunning turns on what otherwise is a concrete canyon. Sunset Bend, extremely important as we head into the start of a lap. Turn 1 also, the concrete bumps. Very, very tough to contend with as you unwind and try and release some more speed down into turn 3. Then it's important to get out of turn 5 down into turn 7, which is a fantastic passing opportunity, as is turn 10. Turn 13, we've seen some chaos there. And then, of course, the back straight from turn 16 back down to 17 can be an excellent opportunity, Mike Anzaldi.
Yeah, when you get onto 16 there, you make the wide entry into 16 and you enter the runway that's 300 feet wide and 5,000 feet long. Of course, the racing surface isn't 300 feet wide. The paddock involves some of that old runway, but it is that concrete. It's very bumpy, and it is it's the key to Sebring is to set up the car through turns 16, 17, and 1.
Right, so we'll take you through the grid from the back, and the very last row, it's Evan Wolf alongside Aaron Ziegler. And then from row 10, Nico Balkazoon will start from position 20th on the grid. Declan Dionorine, look out for him. He starts alongside the other of the young guns, the really young guns that is, 13 and 14 years of age. Mike D'Ambrose has won 2 races in Pro 1340. He'll start from row 9. Alongside him, David Mason. Look out for him in the gold class. Dennis Kelly, another gold class competitor, starts just ahead from row 8. Valen Venkatesh will start alongside him from 15th on the grid. Josh Holt starts from 14th on the grid. Nick Pearson from 13th. Row 6 is Sam McDougall, who had an impressive run in this morning's race. They'll start alongside Jack Yang from position 11. Chris Hoon, spectacular performance from him in the last couple of races. We'll see if he can make it 3 for 3 in the gold class this afternoon. Matt Roma will start alongside him from position 9 on the grid. Luke Kendall has certainly been on the podium. We'll watch for the 54 to come through from this one. He'll start from 8th. Alongside him, it's Ryan Persing, who's taken the opening win and also been on the podium. But it was Jonas Axbo who was again fastest in Pro 1500. And we'll start from that class pole. He starts from 6 on the grid alongside Ben Blander in the Platinum class. Scott Wagner starts from 4th. Chip Roma from 3rd. Wayne Williams will start from the outside pole, and it's Robert Rossy who's taken 2 wins from 2 starts who will lead us to the green. We ride on board right now with our reigning champion Wayne Williams, who must be thinking he's going to be under some pressure this year if he wants to retain his title.
I would say so. All the cars seem like they're organized 2 by 2 as they get underneath the bridge there at turn 17, and we await them approaching the main straight and the green flag.
Robert Rossy very much squeezing Wayne Williams and gets the jump, so he's on the gas.
Oh!
And now there's been a bit of commotion. So what happened to Robert Rossy? It looks like he backed off, and that has caused all sorts of drama. In fact, the starter frustrated with that one. The green flag flew though, and we are racing here at Sebring. 3 wide as they come around that first turn, and luckily everyone survived that chaos and drama as Wayne Williams now looks to take Rossy, who has found himself in second place, and Persing's around. You could see
Matt Romer touched him.
A tap from the front and the back, and Persing is in the grass.
Yeah, he went side by side. It looked like with Chip Romer. I'm not entirely sure, but there, and Wayne Williams trying to keep a hold of Rossy.
So it's Ben Blander who has the lead, as now Scott Wagner dives down the inside of the 57 of Wayne Williams at turn 7. And this has been an amazing start for Ben Blander for Team Stradale. Fantastic stuff.
Didn't have a great race, too, Ben Blander. He had a problem with fourth gear. He had a problem with his turbo. He exited that race early. He now leads. He was able to put down a good lap in race number 2, so that put him third row on the grid. Here he is leading the class.
Race Control will be looking at that start, no doubt, and Wayne Williams will be super frustrated, as I'm sure will be Robert Rossy. I wonder if he missed a gear. It certainly was a big differential in speed change. They're not allowed to do that, and the full course caution comes out. We suspect that is for Ryan Persing, but we'll wait and see.
Okay, so the thing is with Wayne and Rossy. Now, did Rossy potentially take what he would have thought is his own green flag, almost like on a restart, where he came around 17 and just went?
He is allowed to go. He's allowed to roll on as the pole sitter. That is okay. Now, I think he did it relatively early on. He sort of, I think, caught Wayne Williams napping a little bit, but it's almost like he either missed a gear or second-guessed himself that he was allowed to roll on, and then caused a little bit of a concertina. That wasn't the big drama, though. It was down into turn 3 where we saw the 1500s all of a sudden jostling for position. What that's meant is Matt Roma now leads 1500 from Jack Yang. Jonas Axbo has been relegated to third in class off the pole, and Nick Pearson, Sam McDougall's right in the hunt as well. And the big loser, obviously, has been Luke Kendall, who's been dumped down to 13th overall, and then Ryan Persing last.
I'm enjoying the situation with Jack Yang. Now, he's had a trying weekend so far, but Jack is super quick. He's proven it on multiple continents here. Let's watch out for Jack Yang, now sitting in P2.
So whilst we ride on board with Matt Roma, we're just going to pick up some of the players in Pro 1340 as well, because Mike D'Ambrose has converted that pole into an early lead. He's got a pawn, if you will, between himself and Declan Dionorine, and Aaron Ziegler right in the thick of things too. Nico Balkazoon has been the loser out of that lap 1, and he's dropped down a little bit, but Evan Wolf, they're all running line astern with the exception of Dave Mason, who's in that mix. So the classes are relatively well line astern, as we've just seen Ryan Persing come past the start-finish straight. So he's going to jump back on the queue, and I dare say that is quite lucky. So Ryan Persing almost with a lucky dog situation where he's been able to circulate back up to the back of the pack. He's got some work to do if he wants to get some points on the board for this one. However, it's not worst-case scenario for him, and he'll be breathing a slight sigh of relief.
Matt Romer just did it in race number 2. Had an incident on the first lap, relegated to the back of the field during that full course caution. He was able to circulate around the track and get toward the back of that field, and he made his way through.
And I'm really interested to see how Roma does now, because he had tremendous speed, certainly towards the end of race 2 this morning. And I'm really excited to see whether he can fend off the likes of Jack Yang, Jonas Axbo. Who knows what Sam McDougall can do. Sam was very, very quick too. Said post-race that they actually slowed down a little bit, just conserving things, and didn't really realize the radio wasn't working properly, that Matt was carving his way through the field. So I suspect we'll see Sam a bit quicker in this one and right through to the checkered flag. What will that mean for the likes of Nick Pearson, who now finds himself 4th in class? This is going to be a great fight in Pro 1500. And Matt Roma, this man here, leading what will be a pack of angry wolves behind him as they all vie for the top step of the Pro 1500 podium.
I agree. In race 2, Chris Hoon, the leader of the gold class, had a very, very fast car. Very quick down the straights. Looks like he was trimmed out and made it very difficult for anybody behind him to pass, and certainly for anybody in front of him to gap him. So let's watch out for Hoon.
So this is going to be interesting, because Ben Blander finds himself in the lead of this motor race. Robert Rossy, this is the first time he hasn't been in the lead of the Platinum Class cars. So as we come back to the green, let's see what will happen. There's already a little bit of jostling, and down the front straightaway we come. And Ben Blander is able to try and hold on to first place. We just saw Robert Rossy go for a late lunge into turn 1, and now Wayne Williams having a look, and Chip Romer's off to the side. In fact, he's in the wall. What's happened to Chip Romer? The Stella Artois car with certainly with damage as someone else has a spin, and there's someone else on the wall at the exit of turn 1.
Wow, some chaos here, and it looks like Mason was collected in after the fact. Maybe it was a sympathy spin or whatever, but he and Romer are into the wall. My goodness. Let's reset what's going on here. That looks like Rossy. My goodness gracious. Rossy out and into the wall. Blander takes over the lead. We are not full course caution quite yet. We will be, but they are still racing at the moment. You're looking at Robert Rossy.
And the full course caution just gets called, of course.
We knew it was coming. Rather, Charlie gave him a couple of more turns to keep things sorted, but...
So we saw Robert Rossy dive to the inside, trying his best to take the lead over from Ben Blander. It's always tough going too wide through turn 1. We've seen spectacular examples of that all throughout the weekend, but this time Rossy on the wrong trajectory, and I think just ran out of tarmac, and once you get in the dirt out there, there's also some pretty severe bumps off track. It's easy to get sucked into that outside barrier.
Blander didn't seem to have any trouble well on the outside. It looked like Benny gave him plenty of room to try to get things sorted on the inside, so there was nothing there.
And it's Scott Wagner who's actually in the lead now of the Platinum class. So
sometime after turn 3, Wagner looks like he may have lined up Blander. And
that's probably right, because if you think about it, Blander was having to deal with Rossy. Wagner, no doubt, had a fantastic run on the pair of them, and probably, as you say, got them into turn 3. I wonder what happened to Chip Romer, though. That was sort of odd. He was quickly diving towards the inside. Initially, I thought he had just had his own issue, but he was getting very, very close to that wall, almost like he might have had his own failure. And then of course, really a spin and then contact from another car that wasn't involved. So
yeah, this is an interesting bit of a reset. We're also going to go back to Pro 1500, where Expo has overtaken Romer in that whole bit of confusion in 3, 4, and 5. Romer, Yang, McDougall make up the top 4 there. No change with Chris Hoon. Mike D'Ambrose still holds his position, leading the 1340 class.
Now, I'm also going to note that we're coming up to 15 minutes into the race, and that's going to be when the pit stop window opens, unless Charlie Kimball, our race director, decides to delay things because of this full course caution. Of course, if that window opens under the full course caution, you can expect an action-packed pit lane, because everyone is going to come in under the yellow.
Chip didn't look like he wanted to get out of the car. It looked like he was compelled by safety workers to get himself out of the car. Not sure if he thought he might be able to get it back. But
so here we go. We think we've got a replay of Chip Romer heading down into turn 1. And you can see there, he loses it all by himself, or maybe he got tagged, but in any event, he hits the wall. That means, I think, the front left has got damage, and certainly he's going no further. But then he's collected later on. Really unlucky that 2 cars ended up in the same spot. But Chip Romer's day was done, certainly, before the final insult to injury with the primal car just finding the side of him.
Yeah, and tough to say whether or not Mr. Mason came into contact with Romer at that point. It doesn't look like they've moved the cars at all. So hopefully there wasn't a secondary impact there, but we're not really sure why Mason went around, but perhaps the same condition that Chip experienced there with the tires cooling off after that full course caution. So unfortunate for Mr. Romer. He didn't have a great race 2 either, and so...
No, I was just on the grid saying enjoy this one, because this, yesterday's race, or this morning's race rather, was a bit frustrating. And unfortunately for Chip, his day hasn't got any better. But this is interesting now. We had a big haul of points for Robert Rossy in the championship for taking the wins for the first two races. Ben Blander now sits pretty, as does Scott Wagner. But Wayne Williams, after what was an average race one, shall we say, for a reigning champion.
A proper race too, though. I really like
proper race too. And what I was going to say is he's collecting the points. He's hauling in the points, just like he did last year. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Wayne Williams maybe take advantage of what's just transpired out on circuit.
And you really have to, don't you, Tom? With a 18-race championship, you really need to collect as many points as you can, and you can't get too egocentric about whether or not you win a race or you finish P2. You have to look at the entire championship as a whole and consider that this is going to go up until October.
Yeah, exactly. It's look, as frustrating as this is, it's going to be a long season. Even Chip Romer is not out. He can't be counted out of this championship. He's been ultra quick, shown that speed, showed it in the test sessions. Wayne Williams, of course, knows what it takes to win a championship. He is the reigning champion. And the car's just trundling down the front straight behind the USAC safety car.
Mr. Blander leading a Radical Cup race in the first weekend of 2026. No doubt our friend is excited behind the wheel of the 34 machine. Mike D'Ambrose comes by start-finish, looking to make a 3 for 3.
Last year, of course, it was another Team Stradale driver, Mackay Stevens, who did ultra well in this first round at Sebring. So Ben Blander, taking a leaf out of his book, he'll be hoping to. Blander was on the podium last year. Absolutely. And then Mackay Stevens off to bigger and better pro racing and some amazing opportunities that he had last year.
But he's still right by Ben Blander's side. He does some coaching this weekend for Aaron Ziegler. He's normally Ben Blander's coach. Also have Colin Mullen on the scene here in Sebring doing some coaching for Ben Blander. And so, a lot of these famous names from Radical Cups in years past. We've seen them this weekend at Sebring. We saw the older D'Honoré. We saw Antoine Cameau. That was exciting to see. We've seen others. We've got Raiden Nickel on the property this weekend, last year's champion.
Reigning series champion and class champion in Pro 1500.
Other drivers certainly taking a good cue and picking those drivers that have been successful in Radical Cup and getting them the coach.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've also seen recently Jordan Missick start another season of Indy Next, a former champion of Radical Cup. So, yeah, it's definitely a good breeding ground for talent, young and old. And so the pit window will be delayed. That's interesting. So a bit surprised that they're not actually opening that, because once it does open, everyone's going to have to come in. But
tough weekend for Graham Rahal. Kenny Nail withdrew from the event before the first race, and now Dave Mason, the lone car from that camp, is now exited race 3, and you can see Rossy on the back of a hook as well. Hopefully, the 51-year-old here, Rossy, leaves Sebring with his spirits high, as he's done quite the job this weekend up until this point. And until we see kind of exactly what happened with Rossy here into turn 3, tough to say.
At the end of the day, it's racing, isn't it? And things happen, and what he's got to do is just take the good away from the weekend. As you mentioned, he can hold his head up high. 2 wins from 2 starts, returning to the championship after a huge hiatus, and immediately put everyone on notice. It's been a tremendous performance, and certainly not indicative of the vision that we see here. This gives a good opportunity for the likes of Ben Blander, though, and Scott Wagner. They are going to have their hands full, I would suggest, because Wayne Williams will be in the box seat, the reigning champ, if he wants to take a race win here this weekend. Jonas Expo is another one that's looking to recover. So the safety car lights are going out. It's going to go green this time by. The pit window has not opened. I would suggest they're going to do one lap of green flag racing and then it will open. Now, the only trick that teams have is that pit window won't get sort of pushed. It's just going to remain, it will close at the same time. So really the window is shortening. And so teams are going to have to really be on this and make sure their drivers probably come in first time after they take the green.
So you wouldn't have 4 laps to choose which time
I think
you
you're
come
going to
in.
have 2.
It looks like you might have 2.
Yeah. And realistically, you'd have to wonder, you'd have to be pretty keen, I think, to get into pit lane because, as the old adage goes, yellows tend to breed yellows.
I agree with that. Going to be watching Persing for a little while, too. We just talked about him having to go all the way to the back of the pack. Well, he set down the fastest lap in the only hot lap after the last safety car. We're going green.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The green flag comes out. We're racing again, and someone has ducked into pit lane. That is disaster for whoever's done that because the pit lane window has not been opened.
Side by side, Yang and Romer into one.
That was the number 8, unfortunately, of Sam McDougall has taken to the pit lane. Disaster for Sam. And wide again, there's cars off the exit of turn 1. And that was the 54 of Luke Kendall finding the dirt this time.
It looks like there's been a position change between Romer and Yang. Is that possible, or am I misreading that? Axpo leads in Pro 1500. There's Ben Blander leading the field.
Yeah, and Scott Wagner's starting to feel some pressure from the reigning champ, Wayne Williams. Really pushing hard down into turn 7. A little bit of a lock-up there from Wayne Williams, the sprint car star turned tarmac hero. And we'll wait and see if Wagner can shake the Canadian. But so far, Ben Blander's been given a little bit of a reprieve from the both of them. Jonas Axpo sits 4th on the racetrack, 1st in Pro 1500. Matt Romer sits behind him. Jack Yang, as you mentioned. Then it's Chris Hoon, the leader in the gold class, right in the thick of the Pro 1500 cars. Nick Pearson still doing a solid job. Valen Venkatesh too. Luke Kendall with some work to do after that off-track excursion. And Wayne Williams tags. Disaster. Wayne Williams tags the back of Scott Wagner. And whilst he is going to get a position, that's going to be a penalty for Wayne Williams, no doubt about that. Scott Wagner luckily keeps going. The 82, though, trying to rejoin the circuit. And Wagner, the red mist, will be absolutely flowing beneath that helmet. These two guys, I got to say, there's not a lot of love lost between these two men after the World Finals. I don't think that was necessarily intentional, but the trouble is Wagner will feel like it was.
Lander stays out.
So the pit window opens.
Pershing.
And into the pit lane, a couple of drivers come.
Jack Yang in pit lane. Dennis Kelly stays out. D'Ambrose stays out. Venkatesh into the pits.
Yeah, I think it's smart to come in now because you don't know what's going to happen. If the full course caution comes out, you're sitting pretty. It's going to be a quick pit stop as Aaron Ziegler also comes in on the rev limiter in the Pro 1340 car.
That is Pearson, Nick Pearson, currently sitting on the podium in Pro 1500, looking at the back of Chris Hoon.
So I fear for Sam McDougall, unless I misread the calls from race control. But looking at the starter stand, I don't think that pit window had been opened. It had been delayed. The notification was loud and clear on the radio. We heard it in the commentary booth. And unfortunately, I think for Sam, Sam's been dumped down the order unintentionally by the team, or perhaps his own call. Maybe Sam electing to come in.
Looking at shots of Luke Kendall, who's chasing down Chris Hoon, and P3 on the racetrack because, of course, Jack Yang dove into the pits.
So now we are in a state of bother up in the commentary booth because we're not going to know exactly who's doing what. There's going to be drivers out in fresh air trying to churn in the laps and undercut those that have elected to stay out on the racetrack. And, of course, the likes of Wayne Williams will be trying to put in an absolute burner as he decides whether he's going to come in on this lap or risk another tour, because that pit window is going to close sooner than later.
Yeah, you got 4 minutes, and I think you can make that choice.
Wayne, I think, is hugging the inside. He comes in. So Wayne Williams into the pit lane. Now,
Blander in front of him into the pit lane.
yeah, and Wayne has definitely made up some time on the entry.
Yeah, he is.
So Wayne Williams very, very aggressive on the pit lane. And we can see some other drivers and crews waiting for their drivers. So, and it's Wayne Williams serving a stop-go. So Wayne Williams hasn't even done his pit stop. He is just trundling right through pit lane and serving the stop-go.
That's
Or serving the drive-through, rather.
I think it's going to be okay with 18:18 to go. It looks like the 15-minute mark is where we would expect that the pit window closes.
So Wayne Williams effectively taken out of this race. Ben Blander, Scott Wagner are the ones to watch. Blander relatively slow into the pits. So we ride on board now with Jonas Axpo. Axpo, the overall leader at the moment in the Pro 1500 class.
And in the Pro 1500 class, all top 5 cars stayed out. So, or at least what you're seeing on the screen anyways, the top 5 cars leading. These all need to pit right here, right now.
So I just wonder as well whether some of the teams, because they've got, a lot of these teams are running drivers in multiple classes, perhaps electing to keep all of these guys together and pit others to clear up the boxes, make sure the entry... Every car does get its own unique pit box, but of course if you can clean up the entry and exit, perhaps you can gain a tenth or two.
Did Pearson lose some momentum here? That looks like Dennis Kelly. No, that's actually the 82 car of Scott Wagner.
Yeah, and then the 10 of Dennis Kelly.
Yep.
Just having Scott Wagner go around him. So Scott Wagner, where will he spill out of all of this? Wagner has certainly been a quick man behind the wheel of an SR10 machine in the past.
I think we're going to see Wayne Williams come through pit lane again pretty soon. Looks like we just had Jonas Expo come in, and Matt Romer is into the pits.
All of the leaders in Pro 1500 are coming in.
Luke Kendall into the pits. Persing still out.
Persing's still out. Wow.
What is that? Is that?
I don't know if that was a good call. I'm waiting to see what happens with the pit window boards. But certainly Persing still out.
Williams now into the pit for his regularly scheduled 45-second pit.
Sam McDougall comes back into the pits, so unfortunately for Sam.
Dianery into the pits right behind Mike D'Ambrose. P2 in Pro 1340.
But the thing is, it's a long race. There's 15 minutes remaining. Even if you've made a small mistake or you're not getting something right, you've got to keep going. It's not over until it's over. So we ride on board with Evan Wolf for Crown Concepts.
He had a tough one in race 2, got some aero wash in turn 1. He was following very closely to his competitor in front of him, and he said, hey, that's the first time I talked to him. He said, that's the first time I experienced real wash, and when the aero came back halfway through turn 1, car snapped, hit the wall.
So his Pro 1340 competitors, Mike D'Ambrose, Declan Dionorine, have both just completed their pit stops. They are going to tumble down the order. This is going to put the likes of Aaron Ziegler, Nico Balkazoon, and Evan Wolf right back in the thick of that Pro 1340 battle.
I would also hang a little bit of a note on Pearson, because that's a situation too. He's still out.
And we're watching now the gap between the two leaders in Pro 1340. So it is D'Ambrose who still retains the lead. But look at the young gun, Declan Dionorine, within striking distance. What can he do? Following in the footsteps of Mayor Dionorine, who used the Radical platform to supercharge his career over to England. And now it's the younger brother trying his luck at Radical Cup Racing.
We talked to Mayer yesterday and said, what happened? You guys picked up 2.5 seconds from your last session to qualifying. We asked them what happened. They said they stayed up most of the night. They worked on it, and now they're seeing the benefits. Persing in to the pits. Was the pit lane open? That's the question at the moment.
I don't think I've seen the board come back up to say pit lane closed. So maybe, given the circumstances, the race director just tweaking things on the fly a little bit.
Pearson into the pit.
We'll wait and see how this unravels.
Still a pretty good race going on with Expo and Romer.
Yeah, and look at this. There's different classes duking it out at the moment onto the back straight with Sam
behind
McDougall.
Ziegler.
Yeah. So McDougall with some work to do. Wayne Williams too. And all of them trying to redeem themselves a little bit. Ziegler sits third in Pro 1340, so he's the one that's doing the business, but the other two trying to work their way back through the pack.
So both Pearson and Persing out and back into the race, and we have not heard whether or not that window is open or closed. We'll keep on that one and let you know, but we could pretty much guarantee at this point everybody's pit, and the pit window is absolutely closed.
So Jonas Expo leads. This would be a good day in the office for Jonas Expo after a tough race 1. Trying conditions in race 1. We had a downpour in the middle of the race. Fantastic flames coming out of the back of Sam McDougall. And now we ride on board with Aaron Ziegler. And Ziegler heading down into turn 7. There's quite some bumps on the way into turn 7. We're just about to pick that up, and there he goes over the bumps and into the braking zone.
Ziegler doing the job against the much younger Nico Balkasoon.
So now the pit window is closed. So I think
okay, everybody was safe.
Yeah, I think a good call by the race director just to make sure that because of that bit of commotion over the yellow,
they made sure it was 15
They made
minutes.
sure that it was 15 minutes, which is fair enough.
Or 10 minutes, excuse me.
Yeah,
like
10 minutes.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
exactly. So fair enough, and everyone getting through that round of pit stops, unfortunately, except for Sam McDougall, everyone else getting through relatively unscathed.
So we're basically looking at what we're looking at. That's a pretty fair representation of what's happening on the racetrack right
and
now.
the remarkable thing after that round of pit stops, look at Ben Blander. Look at the lead he has over Scott Wagner. Wayne Williams, of course. So Scott Wagner was dumped down the order as a result of contact from Wayne Williams. Wayne Williams dumped down the order because of a drive-through penalty from that incident. And, of course, Robert Rossy, Chip Romer out of action after that turn 1 incident upon the restart.
Well, we'll just be thankful that both Wagner and Williams were able to get back underway, and if the race were to end right now, both be on the podium and hopefully shake each other's hand. If one of those two drivers is out because of that contact, well, then all of a sudden, back to the drama, back to the man drama.
Well, I'm really wondering if Wayne Williams is going to charge back up through. He's certainly got some work to do if he does claw his way onto the back.
He's 57 seconds off of Blander at the moment, and we got about 10 minutes to go.
It's unlikely.
I suggest
it's probably a good thing that it's unlikely. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't hope for that. So this man here, Ben Blander, looking calm, cool, collected behind the wheel.
If he could take 6 seconds a lap out of Blander, we're going to sign him up.
Ben Blander trundling down the back straightaway towards turn 17. Very, very hard to pick your line through 17, Mike. Give everyone at home a bit of an idea of what it's like to drive around Sebring on the concrete.
Well, in a turn like 17 where there's not a lot of reference, even in the driver's meeting you hear somebody with as much experience as Charlie Kimball, our race director, an IndyCar driver, say there's 10,000 different ways to go through turn 17. And so there's a bunch of different lines. You got to find the bumps. You got to determine what your car is willing to handle, right? And it seems like everybody's going through in a different line.
Little bit like Road Atlanta and going up over the crest at 11. You pick your line under the bridge, and and then turn 1, there was always a cone on top of the fence there. You can see, we could actually see there's a little black marker as Jonas Expo uses all the track. Late apex at turn 3, then hustle around again, relatively late apex as you try and maximize the exit of turn 5. Ultra important. This is a long straightaway with a big kink, mind you, a long straightaway down into turn 7.
A second and a half is a pretty decent lead over Matt Romer, but it can go away. It'll go away in one turn, with a mistake. But it's reasonably comfortable with 8 minutes to go. He's going to be looking in his mirrors to make sure it doesn't, reduce at all. Doesn't, Romer start to sneak up behind him. But yeah, Benny Blander out there is free and clear and lonely.
You can actually see he's not using a huge amount of brake pressure into turn 10 there, and Sebring being what it is, particularly with the 1340s and 1500s, you really need to start trimming out the rear wing to really get the benefit of these long straightaways. Of course, that means that whilst you can manage the downforce around the sweepers, you're having to absolutely manage the brake pressure as you apply the brakes into the heavy braking zones. Otherwise, you just don't have the downforce, and that initial hit, you'll go around very, very quickly if you press the brake pedal too hard. But interesting to see the data come through and just see how Jonas is driving around this stunning racetrack.
Yeah, and that was a fun example of him going through 16, where we've mentioned many times before, drivers trying to open up the entry to 16. They sneak out to the left. You can't go too far because it gets bumpy, but you can pinch off a bit.
Also a good example of just rolling the speed through. You can see him easing off that brake pedal, trying to keep the platform really stable as he was turning into 17, and then actually a moment of total coast before feeding in the throttle. And again, he's really wide, really pushing hard on the exit of turn 1. This is fantastic stuff from the young gun. Great to see so many nationalities represented in Radical Cup North America.
The Danish Jonas Expo, we've mentioned before, he lives out in Salt Lake City, another youngster in his early 20s over at University of Utah. And right now currently leads Pro 1500, looking to make it 2.
Just looking here at this battle for Declan Dion-Areen and Aaron Ziegler. Sodi, it's 10 seconds. My eyes were deceiving me, but Ziegler actually has Nico Balkazoon closing in on him.
That's going to be one of the tightest position races on the track at the moment. It looks like D'Ambrose well in control of the lead there with a 10-12 second lead or so.
Chris Hoon also looks like he's got a bit of a mirror full of Luke Kendall.
Luke Kendall looking at the back of Hoon's car. That's going to be a thing for him.
So, there's our leader in Pro 1500. And now we look at the battle in Pro 1340. And Ziegler, they touch. And that was a pretty
Nico.
lazy turn in, I think, from Aaron Ziegler. I think he clearly didn't realize, or certainly was getting the elbows out. But Ziegler with Nico Balkazoon.
Oh, Nico. He kind of just had his nose there, and Aaron, I suppose he could have avoided it, just, seeing it, anticipating it, staying out wide, but I don't know if that's going to stand.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, both those guys with relatively limited radical racing experience, learning their craft, and I think just a little bit of optimism to sort of keep the elbows out there from Ziegler. It didn't turn out. I don't think there'll be too much from race control on that one.
We'll see what Charlie says about it.
Self-imposed penalty.
Yeah.
So Sam McDougall continues the charge, passing the leader in Pro 1340, Mike D'Ambrose, onto the back, or just before the back straight.
Yeah, McDougall trying to chase down Pearson. Dennis Kelly sitting there comfortably kind of in the middle of the Pro 1500 pack there as P2 in the gold class. Just got passed up by Wayne Williams, who's still working his way through the field, trying to chase down Scott Wagner. And it looks like the difference between Williams and Wagner right now is probably too much to overcome for Williams with only about 4 minutes to go.
It looks tantalizingly close on the timing tower, but in reality, there's a fair bit of track between them. So the sun is slowly setting on Sebring International and round 1 of the Radical Cup North America Series. It's been a long weekend, plenty of on-track action. The drivers getting mega laps around Sebring, and many of them putting it into full effect. Matt Roma has had a pretty good weekend. Matt Roma mixing it up with the Pro 1500 Young Guns. Matt, not particularly old himself, mind you. Married last year, missed out on a couple of rounds. I think looking forward to a big championship campaign this year. His father, of course, also committing to the full season. And great to see father and son racing. Of course, Chip not having the best of days, but Matt really flying the family flag. And someone slow on the back straight there. So someone very, very slow into turn 17. Roma doing a good job of avoiding that slow car.
I was asking Dad Chip if Matt was going to make it out to Sonoma. He said, I don't know. Matt might have to work. Of course, he works for the family business. There's been a change.
It's Blander. It's Blander who's slow. Blander is tumbling down the order. What has happened to our race leader in the Platinum class? He's in the pit lane.
He's in the pit and the car looks like it's sideways. He's lost a right rear.
Wow.
It looks like he's lost the right rear tire.
Yeah, and the belts were coming up. Blander furious. He's got a puncture. So Ben Blander goes from the lead. Scott Wagner now in the lead of the Platinum class. 6-6 overall, mind you. And it's Jonas Axbo, the 32. We don't see this often, but when we do, it's usually the sign of a super solid performance. The Pro 1500 driver, not just in the lead of his class, but overall.
Top 5 1500 drivers. And, of course, we know Wagner got into a situation with Williams. They both spun around and whatever. That is what happens, as you just said. But, yeah, by all means, this is a remarkable finish, and this is going to be a fun minute 45 or so. I wonder if Wagner knows he will have not seen that action happen on track with Blander going in. He will have had his team hopefully tell him, hey, buddy, hold it together.
Well, or do you tell him? Do you just keep it quiet and continue to tell him, just tour? Just finish in second, mate. Just collect, and then you can let him know after the line.
Yeah, you're up by 15 seconds.
Who knows what they're telling this young man in the Tiger Beetle car. He's having a big wiggle and a waggle as he exits onto the back straight. So Jonas Axbo is still pushing hard. He leads the motor race overall. The young gun in the the 1500 class. Matt Roma sits second. Jack Yang third. And a solid performance for Jack Yang, who makes up for the mishap in the race this morning. Jack Yang doing a solid job for Valor Racing. Of course, Luke Kendall sits fourth as well. So Valor Racing third and fourth in 1500.
Did Aaron Ziegler pass Balkasoon again, or did Balkasoon get a drive-through penalty because of his contact?
Okay, so there you go. Maybe we read it wrong, because Balkasoon, it looks like, has got that. So apologies to Aaron Ziegler.
Yeah, and I can see where Charlie's coming with that. It looked like Nico was not far far.
And we had a bit of an odd perspective of that
yeah.
one, didn't we? So
you do have to present yourself for passing. You need to get up alongside that car. You need to be able, have everybody see you.
And also, we didn't see it from the onboard. It could very well be that that Ziegler started making his move across early, and therefore, he was entitled to do that, defend. In any event, Balkazoon has learnt a valuable lesson as Mike D'Ambrose continues to lead Pro 1340 from Declan Dionorine. Aaron Ziegler looks to be making his way back to the podium.
I would say so, and it looks like that difference between Ziegler and Balkasoon is probably about 20 seconds or so. Remember, Ziegler spun, had to get himself reorganized and on his way. So that's why they're so close, even after a drive-through.
So Ben Blander has had the tyre change. He's gone back out. He's on an outlap. So even though the belts were coming up in the middle of pit lane, the team doing a quick tyre change and getting him back out circulating. I guess at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen. The white flag is out, though. And we are waiting now for this young man to come down and take the checker. One more time, under the bridge and over the bumps through turn 17, the wildest of rides here at Sebring International Raceway. A bucking Bronco underneath you and trying to hold on. He does so, navigates the corner, and another race win for Jonas Axpo, an outright race win at that for the Cameron Racing Radical Northwest driver. Impressive drive from him. Matt Romer for One Motorsports, home second. Jack Yang brings it home in third for Valor Racing. Chris Hoon taking a stellar win for Primal in the gold class. Scott Wagner on top of the podium in the platinum class.
Wow,
Wayne Williams recovering after a drive-through penalty to take second. And Ben Blander salvaging third after a cut-down hand-cooked tyre.
And here's the thing. The points will not remember what happened in this race. They really won't. So Williams will go ahead and collect his P2 points here and leave Sebring in a pretty good position, I'd say.
Absolutely. Mike D'Ambrose, we're waiting for him. Here he comes across the line. And D'Ambrose taking the win in Pro 1340. There he is. Indeed.
Saw some emotion from Sam McDougall as he crossed the line, kind of hitting the steering wheel. Wishes he could have brought a little bit closer fight to Pearson.
Well, I think if you look at the lap time and
right
see
on
where
top
he
of
would have
each other,
finished, he would have been somewhere around Persing.
I agree with that. Deonery P2 as he comes across the line here at Sebring in race number 3. In the opening weekend of the Radical Cup in 2026, there's Ben Blander, who finally finishes after his misfortune of a right rear puncture with 2 laps to go. How gutted could you possibly be? He did everything right. He raced correctly. He had a nice pit stop. He led the race. He had a big lead, 17 seconds or so for Blander. And then the racing gods, something that you're really not in charge of, a puncture that hit, and he had to come in for a late pit stop. So everybody's crossed the line now here at the end of the race. We are done. Everybody's kind of cooling down. And we'll go over one more time our top 3 in each of these classes. Jonas Axpo, Matt Romer, and Jack Yang in the Pro 1500 class. If you're kind of just joining us here and see all those Pro 1500s at the top of our field, well, it's been interesting in the Platinum class. The winner of that class, Scott Wagner. Wayne Williams in P2. Ben Blander brings it home in P3. Over in the Gold class, what a weekend for Chris Hoon. This guy has won all 3 of those races. Dennis Kelly finishes P2, and picking up the rear in the Gold class there, number 28, that is David Mason. Mike D'Ambrose went 3 for 3 in Pro 1340. Deonery finishes in P2 for Pro 1340, and P3, Aaron Ziegler, after being spun around a little bit there.
Look at this stunning scene, the sunlight springing through the clouds here at Sebring. It is absolutely spectacular. What a weekend it's been of Radical Cup racing, of course, of USAC racing with the Porsche Sprint Challenge, also the IMSA Airbnb Endurance Series for LMP3 cars. We've had the Mustang Cup as well. Spectacular racing here at Sebring. Action-packed weekend. What a great way to work into the 2 weeks of the 12-hour. it's time for me to run down to the podium. But Mike Anzaldi, I just want to say it's been absolute pleasure to have you back in the commentary booth. You make me sound a lot better. So thank you, sir. We hope to see you back on the track sometime in the near future.
Likewise, Tom. Thanks for having me up here. Standing next to you is super fun, but yeah, I'd like to get back on the racetrack there. Hopefully we'll see you down on the track, maybe at Road America, maybe at COTA or so. But for the time being, we'll say so long from Sebring. Our next event is out in California. Sonoma Raceway is round number 2. And go ahead and keep yourself following Radical Cup because we've got a beautiful schedule all season long. We go back to Road America. We go to Road Atlanta. We go back to Lime Rock Park. We've got all sorts of cool events coming up, so very excited about that. And this championship is really going to play out here as it's kind of unclear at the moment who's doing the full championship. So I think what happens after the first weekend is some of these teams go back and they regroup. Certainly the drivers decide, hey, look, do I want to do 6 full weekends in Radical Cup? All of the time and expense that is going to be. And if you're on top of the points after the first weekend, those teams tend to absolutely continue to going to races and seeing how they turn up. And if they don't have a good weekend in weekend number 2 or 3, well, then you might see some people start to drop out. But after this first weekend, if there's some surprise points on the board for a team, somebody who hadn't been committed to the series or for the full championship might reconsider and see how they can do. Just as Tom was saying, that is a beautiful static picture over the paddock at Sebring International Raceway as we're going to get our podium underway here shortly. All the way on the left side of the screen there, you see that 300-foot wide piece of tarmac where most of the semis are parked there. Toward the right on the left, that is the racing surface. That is the concrete runway, runway for aviation enthusiasts, runway 27, runway 9 in the old airport. That is the back stretch of Sebring. As you make your way around the right-hand turn there at turn 17, then we come back out onto the main straight. That is still concrete. That's the old paddock from the old airport and the parking area for some of the airplanes, and that is the main straight as you head past start-finish. So, a big concrete jungle here in South Central Florida. It's always a pleasure when the Radical Cup turns up here, and as Tom said, what a fun weekend here at USAC Weekend with all sorts of cool hardware that we got to watch do some racing. So, for certain, we again hope that you join us on our live streams as we make our way out west. It's going to be Sonoma Raceway for round 2 of the Radical Cup here coming up in about 4 or 5 weeks, and we hope to see you there. But for the time being, for Tom Drewer, I'm Mike Anzaldi saying so long from Sebring Raceway, and I actually get the pleasure of hanging out with you for a little bit because we are going to go down to the podium. We're going to go down to the podium and show you what is going on down there as drivers pile out, shake hands. Everybody's going to get ready to get their champagne. Others will get ready to go celebrate their fellow competitors at the podium. Evening coming upon us here in Florida now. It's getting pretty close to 5:30, almost 6 o'clock. A warm one today, 85 degrees. And so, it has just been a wonderful day here. So we are going to go down to the podium here shortly, but let's take a quick break. Before we do that, Tom will be down there in a second, and we'll catch up with you here in a moment.
gentlemen. Make your way inside. To the stage, a representative from Team Stradale and also a representative from Cameron Racing Radical Northwest. So gentlemen, if you could make your way to the stage quickly. Hector Pinheiro, sales manager for the Americas, Radical Motorsport, presenting some Dealer of the Year awards. So congratulations, Dealer of the Year for Radical Northwest 2025. Cameron Racing, Radical Northwest, a joint Dealer of the Year with Team Stradale for last year. Congratulations. And taking the Constructors' Championship for part sales, Primal Motorsport. Congratulations.
Scoot in. Scoot in. Scoot in. Perfect.
Fantastic, gentlemen. Thank you for your support. Of course, many dealers across the Americas. A great result for these dealers, but some powerhouse dealers on top of the podium. Thanks, gentlemen. All right, so not to confuse Hector too much, we'll make sure that we start with Pro 1340. Congratulations on the podium again, Aaron Ziegler. And very quickly, Aaron, I've got to apologise to you because we saw the little kerfuffle down in turn 3. I put the blame on you. Obviously, the race director had other ideas, but a little bit of a surprise there, a bit of shock and awe, I imagine, under the helmet.
Yeah, just good hard racing, you know. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. It looked like a great day for you. Obviously, coming away with your first 2 podiums this weekend. What a way to start your Radical Cup career.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Appreciate everybody from coming out and helping us.
Well, congratulations on the podium yet again. We'll bring up second place, Declan Dionorine. And Declan, we'll have a quick chat to you as well. We've got to be very quick. Of course, you're wearing the suit of your older brother and trying to follow in some pretty big footsteps, but this has been a fantastic start to your Radical career as well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Better than I ever could have imagined. It's always hard to live up to Mayer since he won all 3 races at Toronto Indy. He's done so much accomplishments, but he's helped me out this weekend, and he never tries to clown on me that I'm not winning, but he just helps me out. I would like to thank Richard at Raceway, Road to Racing, and Hit Motorsports for making this possible.
Well, I have a feeling that your older brother's going to be quivering in his boots when it comes to the results from this young man. Congratulations, and taking his 3rd win of the weekend, Mike D'Ambrose for Team Stradale. 2 Team Stradale drivers on the podium. Congratulations, Mike. Very well done. And to have Aaron alongside you as well, I know that means a lot to the guys up in Chicago. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll get these drivers nice and tight. The trophies at chest height and then nice and high. Give these guys a big round of applause. And the champagne's going to come in. It's time to celebrate properly. I think all of you deserve a champagne shower. Let's just make sure we get these bottles ready. The thumb over the top. And let's celebrate here at Sebring. Congratulations. And for those that can't quite see on the stream at home, there's been a crash on the podium and some very excited celebrations from the Raceway racing crew. All right, we move on to Pro. Oh, yep, we'll just take care of Declan's trophy here. Made sure it was safe. And we'll move on to Pro 1500. And a remarkable performance for these three young men as well. Home third, congratulations for Valor Racing. It's Jack Yang. Not only home third in Pro 1500, but of course also overall in second place. Congratulations, Matt Roma. Another podium for the Michelob Ultra driver from One Motorsport. And taking the win, making it 2 for 2 today. Congratulations, Jonas Expo. And Jack, while Jonas comes up here, that was a good result for yourself. Valor Racing drivers, third and fourth.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with this race. You know, the previous race obviously we didn't get that lucky at the start. Was involved in a little bit of incident. But this I got a really good start, and I didn't really have the pace to catch up to P1, P2. So pretty happy about the results. Yeah, it's a good weekend.
A good weekend, a good points haul, good start to the season, and a fantastic points haul for you, Jonas. This has been it was a tough day at the office on Saturday afternoon, but Sunday has been very, very good to you at Sebring.
Yeah, Sunday's been the best. Thank you to Cameron, thank you for Tiger Beetle, Porsche Salt Lake City, Max Interiors, just for helping me be here, and of course my dad as well. So excited to see where it goes.
Congratulations, the top three of Pro 1500. Jonas Expo taking the win, Matt Roma in second, and Jack Yang third. Ladies and gentlemen, give these guys a big round of applause. The champagne is coming in. It is time to celebrate on the podium at Sebring. The bottles are being prepared, and the celebration starts. Congratulations. The top three in Pro 1500. Well done, gentlemen. All right, moving on to the gold class. And taking third place yet again is David Mason. David Mason, perhaps off to an early shower and an early ride home. Congratulations, home second. It's Dennis Kelly. And absolutely stamping the authority on the gold class this weekend. Congratulations, our winner, Chris Hoon. So Dennis, Chris has really stepped things up, it looks like. He had a good run in the World Finals, but all of a sudden, just this weekend, seemed to elevate things yet again. What's in store for you, and how are you going to catch this man to your left?
I think I'm going to need a little more time. So this is only my fourth race ever. So, most of these guys got probably more years than I've got days then. So we'll keep at it for sure.
Yeah, very measured and wise approach. Obviously, around the bumps at Sebring, lots of things can happen. You've survived. You've come away with a huge points haul. The championship is a long one. 6 rounds, 18 races. There's a long time to go. There's a lot of opportunities to catch up in the point score.
Yes, sir. I think it's the big win for me today is I didn't get too embarrassed by the 17-year-olds, and the car's going home one piece. So,
well, congratulations. That's always a good day to be ending up on the top step of the podium. Chris, we'll get a word from you as well, because this has been a stellar start to the season. It's a clean sweep for Primal Motorsports and Chris Hoon. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I just want to thank the team for putting together a clean car, great support, great coaching. It all worked really well, as best as it could work, and competitive with some of the youngsters. So I'm really happy with the weekend.
You should be absolutely over the moon. Chris Hoon taking 3 wins from 3 starts at Sebring. Congratulations, Dennis Kelly. Also, too, big shout out to David Mason, who's not on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, give these guys a big round of applause. The champagne's coming in. Chris, I think it's time to celebrate the appropriate way with Dennis there. It's time to spray some champagne.
Oh, sorry. Altercation. We have to get a ruling on that.
Well, Chris will be back to the steward's office in a minute. That's all right. Congratulations. And in the platinum class, well, it was a topsy-turvy day. Man, he looked set to take a win. Disaster struck with a cut tyre. Nevertheless, coming home with a podium, it's a solid job for Team Finale's Ben Blander. Congratulations. In second, it was also a bit of a tough day at the office. A tap, a penalty resulted. In the end, though, Wayne Williams picking up a massive points haul in second. Our reigning champion. Congratulations, Wayne Williams. And taking the win. I feel like this has been a little bit of a long time coming. Congratulations. Scott Wagner returns to the podium and on the top step. So, gentlemen, we were commenting up into the commentary booth. Mike Anzaldi and I couldn't leave the World Finals alone. We knew that there was some bad blood between you guys at the end of last year. But this has been an amazing battle all weekend long. All of you in the Platinum class have. Obviously, massive shout out and props to Robert Rossy, who's just really put everyone on notice. But this was great stuff to see a couple of fresh faces on the podium. And congratulations, Mr. Wagner, for taking the win.
Yeah, first P1. It's been fun with these guys, and I'm glad we made up. You know, a couple Canadians. You know, kind of like a military, a lot of bark. You know, fight. So we're good.
That was not pay. If it was payback, it would have been hard. There's no mark on the car. I was on the brakes, couldn't stop.
So,
just for clarification.
I just love that we're so competitive and we're 50 years old doing this stuff. It's so much fun. And Ben is another great guy to just sit in the paddock with. I mean, it's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, Ben, some absolute heartache. I must say as well, I'm just looking out over the crowd and seeing Chip Romer as well had an axle break and turned into the inside wall. Really tough day for him. But this is the challenge. You're driving high horsepower cars. These cars are demanding as anything. You guys are putting them through their pain. Sweat is dripping off your forehead. And this was a really tough one, I'm sure, to take. I know you came out with a grin, though.
Yeah, it was a really good experience, and it was a pleasure driving with everybody here. So thank you.
Well, it was a deserved third place. You probably deserve more. But let's celebrate the winner, Scott Wagner. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. Wayne Williams in second, Ben Blander in third. The champagne is coming in. And there should be a proper celebration here, I think, because if a few people know how to pop some bottles, it's definitely these guys. Let's celebrate on the podium at Sebring. Congratulations. Well done, gentlemen. Excellent stuff. And that wraps up a wonderful weekend of racing for the Radical Cup North America. Of course, it's off to the other coast and Sonoma next. We'll see you then.